Hi, I'm Dr. Lisa Olson from the Smart Weight Loss Coaching podcast. I've been working with Julia for almost 100 episodes now, and she has really helped me grow my podcast from basically just my parents, my husband and kids, and my sister as listeners to over 17,000 downloads. I mean, the amount that she expanded my audience went way beyond my expectations. She really blew my mind. I have quadrupled the number of downloads over the past 12 months. Julia has been so much more than just my podcast teacher. She has been like a partner to me, really taking an interest in my program and helping me more than I ever could have asked for. I highly recommend Julia.
How amazing is that? I am so grateful that Dr. Lisa shared her experience. And if her story resonated with you and you're thinking, wait, I want results like that too, that is exactly what we're doing inside the Podcast Growth Collective. It's the place for online business owners who want to turn podcasting into a powerful growth tool without the burnout and without guessing what to fix. If you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and finally start seeing results from your podcast, I would love to support you. Head to thepodcastteacher.com/collective to learn more and to join us. And now let's jump into today's episode. Welcome to Podcasting for Solopreneurs. I'm Julia Levine, aka the Podcast Teacher. As a former elementary school educator turned podcasting solopreneur, I'm here to teach you how to use your podcast to grow your online business. On this show, you'll learn proven strategies to boost your podcast's reach, attract more listeners, and ultimately turn those listeners into clients. Let's get started. Hey, and welcome back. The podcast industry is booming right now. And in today's episode, I'm going to share 3 reasons why 2025 is the best time to start your podcast. And if you have already started your podcast, don't go anywhere. Maybe you haven't quite given it the gusto that it deserves. I know that I've been guilty of that. And you need some motivation to rededicate yourself to the medium. This episode is also an example of me repeating content. I did nearly an identical episode to this one last January, and I'd be willing to bet big bucks that the majority of you listening right now have not heard that episode. And even in the event that you did, because I know I do have a handful of very loyal listeners who have been with me since the beginning, thank you. Even if you did listen to that old episode, you probably don't remember all of the things that I said. One of the biggest objections that I hear from someone thinking about starting a podcast is that they worry they will run out of content. When I say that you can repeat content from time to time, they often look at me like I have 3 heads. But it's true. You really do not have to come up with fresh and new content for every single episode. Now, we're not out here creating 1 year's worth of content and then simply repeating it in year 2. But you can definitely revisit topics, re-answer some of your most common FAQs, and so on. So this is me practicing what I preach and reusing some content. With that said, let's dive in. Reason number 1 that 2025 is the best time to start your podcast is that podcasting is not saturated yet. Podcasting is a rapidly growing industry, with new podcasts being started every single day. According to Podcast Index, as of early January 2025, there are a little over 4 million podcasts. 4 million probably sounds like a lot of podcasts, and while it is, it does not even begin to compare to the number of blogs out there, which is over 600 million according to Blogging Wizard, or the number of YouTube channels, which is over 100 million according to Global Media Insight. As I mentioned a moment ago, I'm reusing the core of the content that I published last January. And when preparing to revise and re-record this episode, of course, I researched updated numbers for you. Interestingly, the number of podcasts and YouTube channels each doubled over the past year, while the number of blogs remained the same. So 600 million blogs and 100 million YouTube channels, 4 million podcasts sounds pretty tiny in comparison now, doesn't it? But that number is only going to continue to grow. More and more people are seeing the value of podcasting and they are jumping on board, as evidenced by that number doubling in the past year. The podcasting space is only going to get more competitive as time goes on. So 2025, now is the time to jump in, establish yourself, and attract loyal listeners who will stick with you. The number of podcast listeners is also increasing. In 2024, 34% of Americans said that they had listened to a podcast in the last week, and 23% of those people spent 10 hours or more listening to podcasts each week. 34% of 342 million Americans equates to approximately 116 million listeners. That is quite a lot of people for only 4 million podcasts. These folks are also a coveted group because 56% of regular podcast listeners have an annual household income of more than $75,000. And the biggie for online business owners, 46% of podcast listeners have purchased a product or service as a result of hearing about it on a podcast. What? That is an absolutely amazing statistic. 46%. 46% of podcast listeners have purchased a product or service as a result of hearing about it on a podcast. That does include courses and coaching offered by the podcast's hosts, by the way, just in case you were wondering. And in case you are wondering about where those stats came from, they come from the 2024 Infinite Dial Report from Edison Research. I will include a link to that report in the episode description, just in case you want to check out more cool stats. While you're in the description, you will also find a link to register for my upcoming Podcasting 101 workshop. If you are listening to this at the time of release, you heard a little plug for that at the beginning of this episode, so I won't repeat myself, but I will remind you that it starts on January 27th, and you can sign up at thepodcastteacher.com/workshop. And if you're listening to this in the future, I run this workshop for beginners a few times a year, so you can head to that same URL to find out when the next one is happening. Okay, moving on to the second reason that you should start a podcast in 2025, to create human connection in the age of AI. Now, don't get me wrong. Artificial intelligence is amazingly powerful, and it has only become more ingrained in our lives over the past year. It can help us brainstorm, streamline our work, and save time. It also means that infinite information is at our fingertips, and anyone can suddenly become a quote-unquote expert on any topic. This means that simply putting out facts relevant to our industries and providing value is no longer a viable content strategy. ChatGPT can create your blog posts, social media posts, LinkedIn articles. It can even write the scripts for your Reels, YouTube videos, or yes, even podcast episodes. But what AI cannot do is create a personal connection. It cannot tell your life stories. It cannot convey emotion through speaking tone and inflection, and it cannot create genuine human connection. Already, we're starting to see that consumers are tired of the same old cookie cutter content that is being spit out by AI. This fatigue is only going to increase as AI use becomes more and more and more widespread. With a podcast, you are the differentiator. You are a unique person, unlike anyone else on the planet. Podcasting allows your unique personality, your teaching style to shine through. It allows listeners to hear your voice, your accent, the slang that you use, and your enthusiasm. You also have had unique life experiences that have shaped the lens through which you view everything. There is only one you. I'm not trying to say that you cannot use AI to save time and streamline the process, but you are what makes it come alive. 10 different people can use the same outline and create drastically different podcast episodes by weaving in personal experiences, stories, and other anecdotes. As we head into 2025, your humanness, that's a Julia word, humanness, is what is going to make you stand out from your competition, not simply the knowledge in your head. Okay, and reason number 3 to start your podcast in 2025 is that podcasting provides fantastic networking and collaboration opportunities. I'm carrying over that element of humanness from reason number 2 because organic marketing is all about the people. Unless you have an infinite budget for paid marketing, and if you do, I'd like to know how you do that. Unless you do, you are going to need to rely on word of mouth to a degree in order to generate business. Networking and collaborations are great ways to get people to know who you are and what you do. Now, you probably know that I am an introvert, and you might be too. Networking and collaboration can definitely be a little bit intimidating, but I know how valuable it is. So it is worth pushing myself a little outside my comfort zone to make it happen. And podcasting makes it infinitely easier to accomplish this. Because as a podcast host, you have some instant credibility. It's kind of like putting author next to your name. Podcast host just instantly gives you some street cred and makes you in demand. You also have a platform that other people want to leverage. People will literally be asking to come on your show, I promise you. And other folks are much more likely to invite you onto their show or accept your pitch when you have a show of your own. There are also events for podcasters to mingle and connect with one another to coordinate guest appearances, such as my Podcasting Power Hour events, shameless plug. I am aiming to do the next one of those in February, so stay tuned. So, especially if you are an introvert, while this optional aspect of podcasting may stretch the limits of your comfort zone, it does pay off big time and is well worth the effort. And of course, the sooner you start this process, the sooner you reap the rewards. Podcasting is a long-term strategy. You are not going to start your podcast today and have 1 million followers tomorrow. So get started soon. 2025 is the time to start your podcast. Remember to head to thepodcastteacher.com/workshop if you are interested in that Beginners 101 workshop that's happening in just a few weeks. Until next time, happy podcasting.